we adopted a little school in Detroit where we brought computers, we brought education programs. We were there showing these kids that if you can see it, you can be it. And for every class we would teach, there would be one little face where the eyes go like this, and you're making an impact, you're changing a life. So very, very invested in mentoring. I have a philosophy that the more we have access to resources and power, the greater the responsibility we have to give back and pay it forward. And I try to live by that day in and day out. So at any given time, you'll find me mentoring 3 or 4 people. No matter how challenging the times are in my life, I try to stick with that and are paying it forward. So then back in 2019, my time came to once again move for impact. And I packed my bags and my family and we moved to Germany, to a little town called Stuttgart, where we spent the 2 years of a very blissful pandemic time, growing, learning, reinventing ourselves, reinventing the business. I had the privilege of leading teams in Asia, in Americas, and everywhere around the world, basically, leading digital transformation. But again, for me, it was all about purpose and impact. So, we saw some statistics earlier, and at the time when COVID hit, some of the times the pendulum swings in corporate life in a way that the next opportunity for me in the US was not a developmental one. So I called my friend Andre, who's here in the audience, and a few others that I count as dear friends in my circle. I'm like, Andre, I want to move back to the US, but I think I'm going to take my early retirement with Mercedes because I want a second career. Where should I go next for impact? Because that's a theme here. He's like, Rodolfo, you got to come to Texas. And I didn't have any of the data that Mike and Robert share with us today, but I'm so glad that I had Andre with me. So we packed the family, we moved to Texas in July. I served in the meantime with a biotech company, helping them get ready for an IPO as I was getting ready. But then the door with Deloitte opened up. And, for those who are in your earlier stages in the career in the room, and for those of you who are in executive positions as well, we interview our companies that are after us as much as they interview us. So I had 3 opportunities, and I chose Deloitte because they have an amazing commitment to DEI, to sustainability. Just announced $1 billion investment in sustainability. By 2025, their goal is to have 50% of Hispanic and African American employees, period. So that's a commitment they've made, and they have reporting that shows how progress is moving there. And they have a chief purpose officer. And you probably can tell by my story, I'm a very purpose-driven individual. And Lily also showed us in her stats that purpose is one of the things that moves us tremendously, other than good pay, which is not a bad thing to have, of course. So that's why I chose them. So for us who are in leadership position, influencing the agenda of corporate America, just let's pay attention to these things. People are looking for trust, for purpose, for affinity, and this is what they will be interviewing us for. Now, after the resignation is over and people are coming back to work, and then for us in a position of, influencing lives and changing others, you have to keep mentoring others. You have to make the time. It's a very, very important commitment. I was very, very fortunate that to this day I have a very incredible inner circle, my board of directors, my personal board of directors, that I can call anytime when I have a need, when I have a big decision. And I think we have the responsibility to educate, to mentor at all levels. If you can layer it up, even better. So when I was serving as Alpha, Latino Professionals for America chapter president in Michigan, we partnered with Junior Achievement, and we doubled the power of our outreach programs from kindergarten to grade 9, right? Because you're bringing the young professionals from Alpha to teach the classes. You have the corporate sponsors investing in these recruiting fairs because they want to retain the talent locally. But at the end, the students are benefiting from all these programs. So when you think about how to make an impact, think about exponential impact. Think about layering these partnerships. So parting words in terms of learnings, throughout this journey, I've had moments of doubt. I've had moments of very, very challenging situations, but I've always tried to silence my inner critics, and whenever I've needed to, I've counted in my good friends for advice, for guidance. For example, Jesse Cortez here, we met at a breakfast for Alpha, and we hit it off right at the breakfast table. the power of the network. And then he said, oh, you're in Michigan. Let me introduce you to Andre. And Andre at the time was presiding HITEC, Hispanic Executives, or IT Executive Council, which Lily mentioned in her speech. So I met Andre. He came to learn about the work we're doing at Mercedes. Next thing you know is I'm in the top 100 Latino professionals in IT in the US. That opens up the door for Lily, for Claudia, for Marty. So here we are in the room. It's a big family. I am very, very happy and very fortunate that I'm here on the stage sharing this story with you, that I'm in Texas meeting so many amazing friends and family, and that we can all make an impact by being here today. And all you are committed, because that's what you're here to do. So I just encourage you to take this out of this room, and whether you're in a position of receiving, connecting, developing, or giving back, just do it. Just make the commitment, make the investment, because that's going to keep moving us forward and realizing the potential that we saw in those slides earlier. So that's my message for today. Thank you so much for your time. And with that, I would like to invite Andre, who is going to bring us our next panel. Andre, thank you.